Hello, I am AI Beatrice, and welcome to the Elevating ECE podcast. This is the show for early learning directors, owners, program leaders, and entrepreneurs who believe excellence should be sustainable. Each week, you'll hear practical strategies, coaching, systems training, and responsible AI supports to help reduce daily friction, strengthen your team, and protect the work that matters most. Thanks for being here. Let's elevate early childhood together.
Elevating childhood education, where leaders rise, children thrive, and your program becomes a legacy of excellence.
If your calendar's full, your inbox is overflowing, and you're still doing teacher coverage and taking parent calls and doing licensing prep, and now the copy is broken, listen, you don't have a time problem, you have an access problem. Too many people have access to you. Too many issues land on your desk, and your day gets stolen before it even starts. Today, I'm going to walk you through a simple time management system for ECE owners and directors that moves you from overwhelmed to organized without working longer hours. Interested in hearing more? Stay tuned. Welcome to Elevating ECE, the podcast where early childhood leaders who want stronger systems and healthier teams and higher quality programs gather to hear information about how we can work smarter and not harder. I'm Beatrice Hutchison, and today we're talking about time management for owners and directors in a way that works in real childcare life, not fantasy office life. So grab a notepad. I'm going to give you a system you can start using today. So let's name the reality. ECE leadership has constant interruptions, urgent needs, emotional labor, decision fatigue, compliance tasks, staffing issues that change by the hour. There are so many things going on at once. So if you've been blaming yourself, stop. The issue usually isn't motivation. It's that your day has no protected structure. And here's the truth. If you don't run your day will certainly run you. Today, we're building a day that protects leadership work. So you're not stuck in survival mode the whole day, every day. So here's the framework we'll use. Number 1, reduce access. You need to protect your focus. Number 2, create time blocks. And that allows you to be able to protect your priorities. If you can block your time, you have it very structured in that you will only do those things during those particular time blocks. Number 3, use 3 daily outcomes. And that helps you to protect your momentum, right? Make sure that you have your outcomes in place, however you want to do it. Sometimes there's a checklist, but you need to be very intentional about what are going to be my 3 outcomes for the day. And then once you see yourself being able to accomplish those things, it builds momentum. So it protects your momentum. Number 4 is install communication systems. This helps you to be able to protect your boundaries, where everyone cannot have access to you at all times whenever they'd like. We do want them to be able to communicate with us, and we do want them to have access, but there has to be boundaries. It has to be structured. Number 5, build a weekly director rhythm. This protects your consistency. On Mondays, I do this. On Tuesdays, I do that. So you have it very structured and you know what your rhythm is for the week. This isn't about a perfect schedule. It's about a repeatable leadership rhythm. It helps you to remember the things that you have in your rhythm or on your schedule or to happen that you are expecting to happen for that week. And so you know that as a director, you will get so many things that will come and distract you and pull your attention. If you have a rhythm, then it's easy to come back and get back into the flow of what it is that you have scheduled, what your rhythm is for that particular day. And what I mean specifically by that is, say you have an issue with a teacher or an issue with a student, right? And they come to you and they tell you about the issue. So if you were in the middle of doing something or getting ready to do something and you get pulled away to go and handle that, now when you come back, it's like, what was I doing or what was I getting ready to do? But once you have your rhythm, you have your flow, you know what it is that you're working on. You have your intentional schedule, right? Like teachers have lesson plans. That's for intentional teaching. We have our intentional plans, our intentional rhythm that we set up so that we know that this is what happens, right? That we're able to function to a certain cadence. And when that is thrown off, we go out and do what we need to do, but then we come back and we get right back into the rhythm. So let's start with this big one, access. If staff and parents and vendors and even your own team can interrupt you anytime for anything, you will never feel organized and you will never feel like you're able to accomplish the things that you set out to accomplish. And so what that looks like is that they can come in at any time. And so, what may be an emergency for someone else may not be an emergency for you. They may just want to ask something that's totally irrelevant or unrelated to the work, right? It can be anything. So it all depends on what comes into their minds at that particular moment. And I'm speaking more for in reference to staff, but that can happen and it interrupts your whole day or interrupts what you were doing just because they felt that this was the opportune time to interrupt you. So it's important that you put boundaries around that, or else you won't be able to accomplish the things that you set out to. So your center, they need you. Your staff, your parents, they all need you to be available. But it doesn't mean that they can interrupt your day whenever they want. But it doesn't need you interruptible all day. And something you can do is you can create 3 door signs or availability modes, however you'd like to do it. But you can have an open door sign. And that if you want to add colors, you can color code it. But open door means you have it up green, just like you go when the light is green. If you are driving a car or any type of vehicle. So green means go. That means I have an open door. You can come in and you can approach right now. I am available to you. So that means, yes, you can approach me right now. The next one, number 2, is coaching window, which is yellow. And that means I'm available for class support, emergencies, or scheduled check-ins only. So you see how that's a little bit more structured. And then number 3, closed door focus. And so that's red. And so what that says, I'm working on something and I'm not available to you right now. So I'm working on licensing or payroll or budgets and planning all of the tons of things that we have to get done on a day-to-day basis. You let them know that, nope, at this time, I have to do these things that I have scheduled to do, and I am not available to you. It can be leave a note, text the admin line, or book a time, schedule a time to see me and come speak to me. But it cannot be that you have access to me during this time. This is my red time, right? This is my time that I'm not available. Closed door focus. And so you can literally use colored cards if you like, or colored paper, however you'd like to, a magnet, a sign, whatever fits your culture, whatever you like. Some people like to make it really fancy. You can do that too. But it's important that you set some type of a system in place. Otherwise, people will come in and interrupt you at any time. And it's also important that you let them know. So there should be some discussion where you let staff, vendors, whoever it is that will come in to speak to you, let them know that there is a structure in place so that they could also follow it. And then guess what? You have to hold them to it, because what will happen is that they will come in anyway. And if you do not enforce the structure that you've now put in place, then they will learn that you are not really serious about it and that they don't have to respect it. So that's very important. So you also need to communicate it to them and then enforce it. The key line to say to your staff is that when you have a closed door, is that the closed door doesn't mean that I'm unavailable. It just means I'm protecting the work that keeps us stable. These are the important things that I must work on to have us operate a well-oiled machine. And so if I'm not doing those things, then we are not stable. So you can have that communication with them. Let them know that it doesn't mean that I don't want to speak to you or that I want to be closed off, but it's just that I have to designate time to take care of the things that I must. And then you can also install a triage system. Everything shouldn't come to you first. Have maybe a line of some type, have someone else that could run triage, and that could kind of gauge to see whether or not it's something that needs to come to you right now. And so whoever you have, if you have an assistant or if you even have like a lead teacher that's in charge that supports you, or an education coordinator, or you may have a bookkeeper, administrative assistant, whomever that could help to assist you in this. So you need to decide what goes to the lead teachers first, what goes to the admin assistant first, what is truly director only, what is it that absolutely has to come to you, and then what is emergency only, what things are really and truly emergencies. If you don't have lead teachers yet, if you are an aspiring owner or you're opening a program and you don't have those teachers yet, pick a person per shift to be that first point of contact for routine issues. If you don't have designated, say, an assistant or a head teacher in charge, you can choose one of your other staff that will be the first point of contact for your program until you get those other roles. Leadership isn't about doing everything. It's deciding what only you can do. All right, so now let's talk about time blocking that actually matches what happens in the ECE world. Time blocking is not, I'll be uninterrupted for 3 hours. That's not reality. In ECE, time blocks must be realistic and flexible. Here are some blocks that I recommend. So block A, the morning stabilizer. That can be 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. And this is where you prevent chaos, maybe plan your day, put your structure in place, and be intentional about what you have to accomplish for the day. So you can do a checklist. You may have your checklist. In my programs, we have checklists that we do when we come in. We, check ratios, the staffing coverage, how many students, all of those different sorts of things. We have our health and safety checklist that we do, among some others, right? If we're serving breakfast, we're doing our meal count, all of those things. And so you may have your checklist that you do first thing in the morning. Your classroom readiness, looking at your supplies and the transitions that are happening. Also, there may be some parent concerns that you need to think about or plan out or even schedule to meet with them to discuss. And then the other must-do items that you may have scheduled for the day or that you need to accomplish in that day. And so I need you to say this out loud. If I stabilize my morning, I save my entire day. If we start our day off chaotic and all over the place, it's most likely that the rest of the day will be like that as well. Let's talk about block B. This is the leadership power block. And so this can be a little bit longer, right? Maybe about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And so this is where your door is closed. That's that closed door, that red color where the door is closed, because this is my focus time. This is where I need to get things done to keep us stabilized. And so some examples of this could be, if you're the person, if you don't have a payroll department, maybe you have to do payroll. Even if there is a payroll department, you still have to approve time cards. And so you may also be doing like your budget review, or you may be doing some staff schedules, or rescheduling your staff, right? The staff schedules, flexing those or moving those around based on maybe upcoming vacations, or a recent vacancy that has come up, right? So you may have to do that during that time. Even some enrollment follow-up, if you're the person that's designated to do the enrollment, if you don't have a family service worker, or a family advocate, or an administrative assistant that helps with this, you may also want to follow up on those that are interested in enrolling their children in your program. Also, any licensing compliance, your training plans for professional development, for your individualized professional development plans for your staff, also your policies, whatever systems, and not to mention if you're working on some RFP or a grant or an RFI, all of those sorts of things come up that you need to work on, and countless amounts of documentation. You're filing, making sure that your staff files are up to date, making sure that student files, right? There's so much paperwork and documentation. And so this particular time is where you block out the time and say that these are the tasks that I'm working on during this time. And put it on your calendar like it's an appointment, because if you don't plan for it, then most likely it will not likely happen. And so this is a non-negotiable. Do not use this block for random emails and chatting, because you can start going through emails, and then that sends you off into all different types of conversations where you're emailing this one back and forth, and someone calls and you start chatting. No, this has to be your designated time to get work done. And then you can also schedule maybe another time, right, to go through your emails. But whatever it is, this is your time. This is your intentional time to get work done. Now, let's talk about block C. And so this is the people block. This is like 30 to 60 minutes. And so this is where your schedule has access, right? So you have access to the teachers have access to you for teacher coaching, classroom walkthroughs, your check-ins, parent calls for you to take, or that you need to make. So that can happen during that time, 30 to 60 minutes. And it's important that we understand that if we don't schedule people time, people take time. They will take your time. So you have to schedule time for them. Just like you have to be intentional about scheduling your task or the things that you need to accomplish for the day, you also need to schedule time, people time, so that they will not take the majority of your day. Also, block D. This is the end of the day reset. So this could be 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the day. And this is how leaders stay organized. And this is how those that are not organized become organized, right? And then those that are organized maintain that organization. And so in that last 10 to 15 minutes of the day, or before, not maybe that your program is still going, but if you're leaving before the end of the day, your last 10 to 15 minutes before you leave. And so this is a time when you want to check tomorrow's staffing, making sure your staffing plan accounts for if there are any vacations, anyone calling out. Well, you won't know about the call outs, but if anyone has an upcoming appointment, different things like that. If someone is scheduled to be off, it allows you to plan your staffing during that time. Also, you can write down the 3 top outcomes for that next day, right? So when you come in, you could begin to think and plan for that. And also, you want to close any loops. If there are any emails you knew that you needed to send, or things that you needed to respond to. So that time is for quick replies. and notes and handing off something. Maybe you're leaving, you weren't able to complete something, hand it off to someone else to be able to complete the task for you if it's something that can be done by someone else. This is a reset. This time is a reset. And then this reset is the difference between always being behind or feeling behind and ahead enough, right? It helps you to really feel accomplished and to also be prepared, kind of prepped for the next day. Now let's talk about the rule of three. So what am I talking about when I say the rule of three? This is the simplest productivity tool I've ever used. So every day you choose three outcomes. So you heard me just say about the three outcomes. Every day you choose three outcomes, not 20 tasks, right? You get a to-do list and you can put 20, 30, 40 items on there of all these things that you need to do. So instead of having all of these little single items, choose just three outcomes. What are three things that you need to accomplish today? And your day will still be busy. That's the reality of the work that we do. But your leadership will still move forward because now there's not this list of 20 and 30 that I need to accomplish. I have my three outcomes that I need to work on. And so some of them, it may not be, you may have each outcome may have a few tasks that are assigned to it. But once you're able to complete those tasks that are assigned to that outcome, you've completed it, right? So it helps you to build that momentum. It helps you to feel accomplished and it helps you to feel productive. So your three daily outcomes should be: number one, center stability. And so that includes your staffing, your ratio, your safety, your licensing, any parenting issues that are occurring. Those are the things. Stability, your center stability, that should be number one. And so there will be tasks that go along with that, right? To make sure that you have stability in your program. Number two, one growth outcome. So whether that's that will consist of things like enrollment and systems and training, your retention, your marketing, looking at your finances. So that would be the one growth outcome. You'll look at those different areas and begin to plan on how you can improve in those areas, how you can impact some growth in those different areas. So that's the growth outcome. What are you going to work on to grow in that particular day, right? So that's outcome number two. Now outcome number three, this is the people outcome, right? So you have one income that is for one outcome, that is for your center stability. And then you have one that is for growth. That's number two. And then number three is your people outcome. So this is where you do coaching and recognition and difficult conversations and evaluations and any other types of support that you give to the people that you work with or those that are around you that you provide a service for. So an example day would be this. So under stability, which is outcome number one, would be finalize next week's schedule, your staffing schedule. Now the next one, outcome number two, growth. That could be call 3 leads. If we're thinking about enrollment, call 3 leads, follow up with 3 people that have shown interest, and then follow up on 2 tours. Maybe you've had some families come in and do tours. You want to follow up with them to see if they're still interested in your program. Number 3, the third outcome, people. An example of this could be that you're coaching room 3 on a transition routine. You did an observation recently and you noticed that there was some support that's needed on their transition, maybe between lunch and nap time. And so then that would be the time, or that would be the outcome, or the example of the outcome. The people outcome would be that coach that room on whatever it is, right? So these are just examples of things that we could choose, but for stability, growth, and for people. Now, you've led even if the day tried to steal your attention, you still were able to lead and to be productive. Using this strategy will allow you to be able to see that, okay, I was able to meet my outcomes, and maybe not the 20 individual tasks that are all over the place, right? That doesn't give us much structure. But when you have it aligned to outcomes, then it helps you to see that I was able to secure stability today. I was able to develop some growth plans, right? I was able to support the people around me. Now let's talk about communication. Here's what really, really drains directors: repeating yourself over and over and over again. So, what do? We have to systemize our communication. So what does that mean? That means, that because if we don't have a system for communication, that means that we will have to repeat ourselves over and over again. And then if we don't repeat ourselves, then others will repeat their interpretation of what they thought you said. And then you have a mess, because then we don't have the truth out there. We don't have true communication that has happened. So you have a lot of confusion. So communication is to ensure that we do not have confusion, that everyone is clear, everyone understands expectations. And so in order for that to happen, we have to systemize our communication. And so you can do that by installing these 4 tools. So you can have parent communication. You can call this your parent communication lane. So with this, you would pick one method. So whether it be an app, in our program, we use Class Dojo. You can use that. If you use TSG, that's another system that you can also use the parent portal there. It can be email, it can be text, it could be a WhatsApp group, whatever it is that you choose. You certainly don't want to choose all of them, right? But choose one that you're going to use primarily. And then you teach parents where to send what. So if you're going to use Dojo, teach the parents on, instruct them and coach them on how to get access. You may want to set up some time or some time blocks for them to come in and get supported and to get connected, if you have those that struggle with technology. So you can do that. But if you're going to use whatever it is you're going to use, you want to train them on how to use it. Also, your staff will need to know how to use it. But the expectation, and when speaking with parents and having that communication for the parents, is that they will begin to know that, okay, this is the way that I can expect communication. And so they'll look for it. And then if they need to respond back, they will know that, okay, this is the way, this is the expectation of how communication will be shared with me and how I also will share and communicate. Number 2, you can have an ask the director form or a notebook. And so instead of always interrupting you whenever they want to, staff can write down their concerns or what they need from you. Or you can answer them or what you can do is when they write it down, right, you will go back to them and answer them during that people block that you structured. And so emergencies are still going to be emergencies, right? You still have to respond accordingly to those, but routine stuff can certainly wait, and just random things can absolutely wait. Number 3, you can do a standard response template. And so here you create 10 templates that you paste and you personalize. And so what I mean by that, the templates are, you have your different policies, your procedures and policies. You can have a late pickup policy, right? Some people charge like a late fee for pickup if a family is consistently late. You can have, or you should have, an illness policy. What happens when a child is ill? your payment reminders, and maybe even your invoicing if you're doing private pay or if you have parent that pay any type of childcare fees. Also, your behavior types of policies. You should also have a template for that as well. Any communication framework around how we communicate behavior. And so there's so many systems that you could set up for this, but you have to make sure that something is in place for these things, right? Also, your enrollment wait list, the updates. What is your structure around your wait list? So these are some examples of templates that you should have or could have in your program. We use what we call an operational handbook, where we put all of our policies and protocols in that one big kind of Bible, I call it, for our program. But you can have the different policies however you choose to keep them together. But these are forms, they serve as forms of communication. It's a framework for communication. People understand what the expectations are. Number 4, meeting agendas that don't waste time. If a meeting has no agenda, it's going to leak time, right? It's going to waste time, because then you will have these issues or comments that come up, and then now you go down rabbit holes, because now you're addressing and you just kind of just talking and discussing anything. So you can go on for a lot of time in that way. So you want to make sure you have an agenda for your meeting so that it's structured and you know what it is that you have to discuss and then be done. And so you can use a simple agenda. What's working, what's not, decisions needed, next steps, and owner, right? So this is something, and next steps, and who is the person that's responsible for it. So just having something very simple like that. You may have a rolling agenda, depending on what type of a meeting it is. You can have a rolling agenda, and you can have the same items that we cover each time, so that we know that we are covering what we need to. And so this is an example of what we could use, what's working, what's not, what decisions are needed, and what are the next steps, and who's responsible for those next steps. Now let's talk a little bit more about that director rhythm that I talked about. This is where overwhelmed leaders become organized leaders. It's with this weekly rhythm. And so here's a simple model for that. Monday, I do my operations and my staffing. So this is the day that I focus on scheduling coverage, things like supply checking my inventory, seeing what supplies I need, if I need kitchen, maintenance supplies, classroom supplies, also any weekly priorities. So that's what I take care of on Monday, right? So, and this is just a sample. But then on Tuesday, right? So what am I doing on my Tuesday? I'm doing classroom quality. That's when I go in and do my informal observations, right? And also doing coaching, doing your what this is, doing your coaching, your walkthroughs, this is where maybe you share feedback on your observations, right? So your coaching notes, also any training touch points, maybe you need to do some role modeling, those sorts of things you can do. That's my day, my Tuesday, right? And then you could say Wednesday. On Wednesday, you do some other things. Maybe that's the day that you focus on enrollment and family experience. This is the day that you take care of all your family follow-ups and all of your tours and any retention actions. So that happens on your Wednesday. On Thursday, can be your day where you take care of your compliance matters, all of your admin tasks, like if you have some licensing documents you need to work on, updating your policies, you're doing your payroll prep, also any other things that are related to compliance. And so that could be your Thursday. And then Friday could be your team culture and your review. So that can be your day where you do shout outs, right, to staff, acknowledging them for different things that they've done throughout the week, right? Giving them those little acknowledgments. They really do go a long way when really thinking about retention and helping staff to feel valued. And so we'll talk about that in a later episode, but that is something that is very, very helpful. Some programs have little huddles But it's a time where you can share your quick wins, right? Talk about what was we were successful in doing this week. And then you could also plan for the following week. Next week, we want to work on this, or we want to do more of what we did this week. And then how we can increase that or improve it even further is by doing, something else. And so it's important that we don't take away from the good things and the good acknowledgments, right? But then we just say how we want to continue to grow. And so if you can't do full theme days, do theme blocks. We were talking about those time blocks. So you can do those themed time blocks if you can't designate a whole day to it. But whatever it is, you want to make sure that it becomes a structure, that it becomes your rhythm, that it's what you do, and that helps you to be able to manage your time. The power is repetition, right? Because you're doing it consistently on a consistent basis, that this is what you do. And so the repetition is what gives you the power to be able to manage your time well. Your brain relaxes when it knows, like, this will be handled on Thursday. That's the day I have designated to do that. Or this is what I have designated to do on Monday, right? So you don't have to worry and try to cram everything into the one day. There's already so much. You can say, okay, wait a minute. I can relax because I know I have time already designated to address this. All right, let's go into a very quick live demonstration, and I'm going to share my screen here. And so you can use a notepad, you can use a journal if you have, you can use a whiteboard, whichever you like to use. Okay, and so here, just 3 things to write down. And so again, you can use your whiteboard, you can use a notebook, a notepad, and I'm just typing it in here just to do very quickly. And it could take a few moments, not a lot of time, right? And so this is something that you could implement tomorrow, like implement right away, or on Monday when you return to work. And so, number one, my rule of 3 outcomes are. So remember the rule of 3. So what can we say? So for our stability, I'm going to say ensure that health and safety risk are removed by doing checks and addressing concerns immediately. Right? And it doesn't have to be that, just putting in something. For growth, I'm going to look at my enrollment numbers. And schedule tours. And then for people, I am going to coach to classrooms as a result of last week's classroom observations. So whatever it is for you, when you're thinking about something that you could do to ensure stability in your program, also growth, and then also people. So addressing those 3 outcomes, that rule of 3. And then my leadership power block is, what is going to be your time block that you're going to do where you're going to really focus in on those things, those compliance things, whatever it is, those things that you absolutely must get done in that day. For me, I'm going to say that is going to be 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And think about this and schedule it whatever time would be best for you. If you know that you have to support with, like, say, classroom coverage during breaks, things of that sort, the reality of what we deal with, then that may not be a good time right? So choose whichever time works the best for you. And then what is going to be the task? You want to think about what it is that you're going to do. I'm going to say I have to do payroll, right? And then also scheduling. And so you can put in all that applies to you. This one is actually real to me because I'm in the process of completing an RFI. So I'm going to do my payroll scheduling for next week, right? And then complete RFI for my programs. And so that's what I'm going to do in my leadership block between that 11 a.m. to 12:30. Not a long time, right? But that during that time is when I have to get what I have to get done. And then my access mode tomorrow morning is going to be, and then you can just choose whatever it's going to be. So in the morning, first thing when I come in, I don't want to have the open door, right? So I'm going to take a few moments in the morning and do that yellow, right? And then I'm going to use that time to do some of the things that I have to absolutely get done. Not the time block time of where it's red, where this is my focus time, where I cannot be bothered, but it's a time that I am still partially available, but I am working on something, right? So that we talked about earlier. So that is what I chose. And so, but for you, may be very, very different. But we want to do my rule of three, those three outcomes, that stability, growth, and people. What does that look like for you? What are those three outcomes that you would like to accomplish on that day? And then your leadership block time, what is that going to be? And what are you going to work on? What are going to be the tasks for that? And then also, what is going to be your access mode in the morning or in the afternoon? Maybe you want to designate certain times of the day, especially your power block time. That's your red access mode. I hope that this was helpful. All right, so now you have structure, and structure reduces stress. So you have what has to be accomplished in the day, and it just puts your mind at ease. Of course, things will happen, things will come up, but if you keep them structured in the way that we just discussed, it will be less chaotic and you feel a lot more productive because now you feel organized. And so let me remind you, time management isn't about squeezing more into your day. It's not about getting more done, but it's about protecting the work that only you can do, right? There's lots of things that could be done and we don't have to do everything. But it's about protecting what only you can do. When you are organized, your team is calmer, you are calmer, you feel less stressed out, right? Because you are organized, you're structured, you know what to do. Staff understand what the expectations are, so they in turn feel calmer. And when your team is calmer, then the children are steadier because the children feed off of that energy, right? Especially if staff are having issues and they're feeling uncertain, unstable, then that bleeds over into the children. And so but the whole point is for the children to feel stable because we need to have a productive learning environment. We want them to be productive in their task. Our goal is school readiness, and we want them to be ready. And all that entails, the academic piece, the social emotional piece, all of those things are important, and that's our goal. So when we are organized, our team is calmer. When the team is calmer, our children are steadier. They're more stable. If this episode helped you, subscribe to the Elevating ECE channel for weekly leadership strategies. And so we share strategies each week as we come together. So subscribe so that you don't miss any. Also comment, which one do you need the most? Is it the access block, or maybe the rule of three, or the weekly rhythm? Which would help you to become more organized in the work that you do? And then lastly, Share this with a director who is carrying the entire center on their back, just so overwhelmed, so burnt out, not able to really get anything done because there's so much going on and they don't have the systems in place and they lack the structure. So please share this with them. Help your fellow director. And check the description below for a free resource. I like to share free resources with you. So we have a directed time management kit. So this is a printable rule of 3 sheet, your time block template, and also a weekly rhythm planner, something to just really help you out so that you can see how to put those things in place. So down in the description below, you'll be able to access the link so that you can download your free copy. And so, until next episode, I'll see you next time. Let me leave you with this quote. What gets scheduled gets protected. Let's protect what really matters.
Elevating childhood education, where leaders rise, children thrive, and your program becomes a legacy.